Hey, I'm Chase, and this is All Things Random. Now that I've had this Heimdallr on my wrist for a few days, thought I'd do the full review on this Marine Master. Now, really, the true test is going to be tomorrow when I hop in the water and I actually test out the dive functions of this professional dive watch. Until then, all I can do is show you exactly what I have today. So let's flip the camera around and dive right into it. Okay, now this is going to be my more in-depth review. If you guys are interested in the unboxing, I'll go ahead and link it up in the corner if you guys wish to watch that. However, again, this is going to be more of an in-depth review. I'll go over the dimensions, the movement, and everything else that has to do with this Heimdallr. Now, if you're interested in something like this Heimdallr, I'm going to leave a link in the description at heimdallrwatches.com. Now, it is listed as the Shark Master, and really the name on the dial is Marine Master. So don't get those confused when you're looking at their website. Now let's talk a little bit about this watch. Now I'm a big fan of this case. This case is not full bronze. This is an aluminum bronze, and it is a monoblock case. So you see there is a groove here that looks like a case back. That is not a case back at all. This is one solid piece milled out. So you don't have to worry about places where there could be water intrusion. The less opportunity water has to get into the watch, the better the water resistance is. So that's really good to see. Now it does have a screw down crown. The crown is not signed, and it does have a 120 click unidirectional bezel. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm pretty sure it's ceramic. I looked on the website, it doesn't really say, but overall, it's a pretty good looking watch. Even the crystal, the sapphire crystal, they don't exactly tell you what kind of crystal it is, but I definitely see it is a double domed crystal. If it was a single dome, there would be a lot of distortion on the side, but that double dome sort of allows it to, distort slightly, but still gives you a clear, legible picture of the dial itself. This does have an NH35 inside, so it's the same type of movement that would be in an Invicta Pro Diver and a bunch of other watches. In fact, the NH35, because it offers hacking and hand winding, isn't a lot of watches, especially micro brand watches. It is truly a workhorse movement. So I have my calipers out, and let's go over some dimensions because that really makes or breaks a watch for an individual. Everybody knows if you have a small wrist, a large watch doesn't work, and if you have a large wrist, a small watch doesn't work. So let's go ahead and size this out. Okay, let's just make sure these are zeroed, and they are. So let's first talk about the first set of dimensions, which is the most important. It is 44 in diameter. The lug width is 20, so any strap will fit on this. The height of this watch is just over 15, so it is a little thick on the wrist. And the lug to lug is 49, we'll call it 50, 49.8, we'll call it 50. So overall, the general case length, the actual chunk, is actually small compared to the diameter size. There are plenty of watches that have a 40 millimeter in diameter size, and they have extended lugs, and the lugs make them like 52. So this is already positive in my mind. Now let's talk about some other sort of accessories. It did come on this silicone waffle style strap, at least that's how they describe it. And you know what? It is extremely comfortable. It does have a similar finish buckle, and it does say Heimdallr, so it is signed on the buckle. That's also nice to see. Again, it is a screw down crown, which is great. 300 meters of water resistance. Again, pull the crown out once and you can do a quick date change, just like that. Pull it out again and you do have hacking, like I said, and it is very easy to operate. Now, just like any NH35, it doesn't do a quick change. It's sort of a rollover slowly within an hour and a half and then pop at midnight. Again, hacking, hand winding, NH35. It is a solid workhorse movement. This thing, I think on the website is around 200 bucks. So it's not actually bad at all. And again, like I mentioned in the unboxing, is I'm a huge fan of sort of the custard faux patina on that bezel. I just love the way it looks. It really does match with that case. It matches with the hands. Some people have already said they're not a big fan of the big hands. However, when it comes to lume and legibility for a true dive watch, you want it to be bright. And we are going to check out the lume in just a minute. Let's talk about some of the things that I don't like about this watch. One, I'm not a big fan of the fact that it has an aluminum bronze case, not true bronze. It will patina a little bit, but not much. That is not necessarily a downside because again, a watch that's around 200 bucks and it gives you the exact look of a true bronze watch isn't bad. It does have a mono block case, so it is one solid case. If you're into modding watches or you want to take this thing apart, it's going to be a little difficult because of that. That is a pro because it has more water resistance, less water intrusion, but it is also a con if you ever want to mod the watch. And I know a lot of people out there love to mod their watches. One thing when it comes to quality control is this bezel. Now, it does have a little bit of a hard bezel action. I'm sure that will sort of loosen up over time the more and more you use it. However, it does have a slight issue with bezel alignment. So this is as close to the 12 o'clock as you get, and this is not some sort of mirage or some sort of misalignment with the camera. That's what people say. It's not. But if you look at the 15 marker or the 15 marker along the 3, you can see that it does not line up. Now, if I want this to line up, one more click, and again, it's a hard click. That sort of lines up a little bit better, but now the 12 o'clock is off. Just like Seiko's, there's always an issue, or not always an issue, but an issue when it comes to bezel alignment. This is not really that much of a big deal because if I have it, and again, I'm gonna say a con is also the fact that this has a very hard bezel. Now, I'm taking this under the water with me tomorrow, and I'm gonna use the bezel underneath the water, and we're gonna see if it does function like a dive watch should. A 300-meter dive watch, I don't care if it's just meant to tell time and it's not really a good dive watch. If you're selling a watch as a diver, I wanna be able to use it underwater because I free dive. And if I free dive or snorkel or scuba dive, if I wanna take this watch, it should work as advertised. So I'm going to see if this maybe loosens up under the water. We'll see. But again, it's really not that big of a deal, I guess, if it doesn't line up. That's as close as it's going to line up. It's a little to the right. If I click it again, it's a little to the left. People can easily fix this themselves. Again, when it comes to modding watches, they can easily fix it themselves. However, it is a pet peeve of mine. I like things in order. I like them to be lined up. Again, just a little thing. Now, the lume on this, I already know is good lume because just taking it in and out of the studio, it just shines bright like a diamond. Yes, pun intended. And the dial is actually pretty well put together. It's very simple. It's not overly done, even though there's a lot of writing just above the 6 o'clock. And it does say Marine Master Automatic Professional 300 meter. And it does have that cool shark just under the 12. It's just not overly done. A lot of watches you'll see, for instance, will have the shark logo, and then they'll also say Heimdallr underneath it. Now, this is just an example, but I'm saying that that's what a lot of companies do. One of the things I also like is the fact that they have drilled lugs on this. A lot of companies don't use drilled lugs, and this just makes changing straps a lot easier. I also like the fact, again, one of my favorite things about this watch is the fact that it does not have a case back. It's just a solid piece of chunk metal, and I'm not worried about any type of water intrusion. As long as that crystal is pressed down and sealed correctly, that sapphire, and as long as the seal on the screw down crown is fine, then I would have no problem at all with this watch. Now let's put it on the wrist, and then we'll check out the lume. Okay, so this is the watch on my 7 1/4, sometimes 7.5 inch wrist, depending on how much water I'm retaining. Depends on how much I'm eating and how much I'm gorging myself. Right now I'm on a diet, so my wrist is a little smaller, but just in comparison, we'll say just in between 7 1/4, 7.5. We'll call it 7 3/8. I don't know. I'm sort of out of the game right now when it comes to construction and measurement. Well, you see the waffle strap is actually pretty comfortable on the wrist. And if I rotate my wrist just like this, you see there is plenty of extra if you have a big wrist. Also, this watch, again, is 44 millimeters in diameter. However, it does not feel that big because the lug to lug is just under 50. So it doesn't feel overwhelming on the wrist. It does sit a little high, but some people like that, especially with the aluminum bronze, sort of pops like gold on the wrist, and some people really do dig that style. Now, let's talk a little bit about the lume. Now, just so you have an idea or an understanding of just what sort of environment my studio is, I have two box lights that you can see right there in the reflections. They're about 60 watts. So in no way am I charging this with some super 1800 lumen flashlight like I've done in the past from work. And in no way has this been out in the sun. This has been just hovering just under these 60 watt bulbs. And you know what? Anybody who has a studio or a garage like me, that's sort of a studio, garage, workout, and car storage location, you know that it's not very bright in here at all. So this is the best opportunity to see just what type of lume this thing has. So let's go ahead and turn off these lights. And you can see it shines extremely bright for being under 60 watt bulbs. Imagine if you were out on the beach in this thing and then you walked indoors. Now again, a sunny day at the beach, and you walked indoors. This thing would be like a flashlight on your wrist. Honestly, the lume to me is amazing. Now, like I said, general, I have some really positive feelings about this watch. It's the little small things and nitpicky things that doesn't bother some people, but it still bothers me. Yeah, I'm only paying $200 for this awesome bronze-looking dive watch. However, it's the little things to me that matter. It's hard for me to have it on my wrist and look down. If I see a misaligned bezel, it makes me want to turn it to some other direction. So it's purposefully misaligned. If I have it at the 12 o'clock, I want it to be at the 12 o'clock. Again, if you are a watch modder, I am a watch modder, which means I mod watches, if that makes any sense. I'll just fix it myself. However, this is not my watch to keep. It's going in the mail on Monday. Now, if you like videos like this, hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment with the content you guys would like to see on this channel. I have a lot of videos coming in the future. Like I said, I'm going in the water tomorrow with multiple dive watches, so you guys have an understanding of exactly what a dive watch is, how it functions, different crystals on it, flat, double domed, domed, all the positives, negatives, pros and cons of exactly what a dive watch is, how it functions under the water, is coming out next week. So hit that notification bell so you guys can be notified when I drop that next video. Till next time.